Yo. Yo, is this mic hot?
No, it's definitely hot.
Make it hot. What up?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey. I got B, I got Moose, I got EM, Zero Cool Woody. Oh, there they are. Yeah. Happy Thursday, everybody. Random live stream. And you know why? Moose made the call, man. He said we got to talk about this. And I agreed, man. Moose, what time were we at? When did we have that conversation?
Man, we had a conversation very early in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. That's about 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central, and 4 a.m. Pacific. It was such an intense conversation that we had to extend it to the live stream. Look, I'm going to put this out there, ladies and gentlemen. The community is upset. Normal people are upset. Normal consumers are upset. This is the worst situation that we have seen in all of telecommunications history. I'm telling you right now.
Ho.
I have never seen a backlash this bad. This, again, has set a new precedent. I have been saying this now.
You're sticking with it, Moose?
I'm telling you right now, this is now being completely researched and investigated by every single carrier. And you know who I'm talking about.
I mean,
Big
people
Red.
are.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, people are going to be finding out about this in like 5 days. You know, the masses. You know, the notifications that are going out by SMS and email.
CNET, The Verge.
Mm-hmm.
We have major publications reporting on this, man. It's that big of a deal.
It's so bad. It's like, give me all your pennies. We're here to raise your prices.
Bro, the real issue is dry cleaning Eugene's sweaty armpits has really gone up, bro. The pricing is out of control, so he's got to charge more.
And that's the thing. Like, you need to lock in you guys' prices now, because I mean, for me, I did sign up for the T-Mobile Home Internet just for the lock-in price at $30 or $20 or whatever. Yeah, it's gonna get a lot worse.
You know what's crazy, Zero Cool? Now we're starting to see people say things like Verizon's cheaper than T-Mobile. Now people are starting to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Which the conversation a year or two ago, I mean, those words were never uttered.
Yeah, I mean, my T-Mobile bill is pretty much almost the same as what Verizon is, price wise. It's like the same.
Yeah, well, we're gonna discuss the reach of the impact. Like, we're gonna talk, how many accounts and customers are impacted by this. How we feel like most likely outcome is in terms of churn. Is going to create a churn bubble, that sort of thing. Basically, Moose, we're just going to carry on the conversation from this morning, right?
Right, and I got some anecdotals from the community that you were asking me about, and I was able to get a couple of different, ethnicity groups, right? The core ethnicity groups that all telecommunications participate in. I have all that. I'm ready to go. So you let me know.
All right, cool. We'll do like 2 or 3 stories, and then we'll fall back on that one to kind of wrap up the show, because I feel like that one's going to occupy a big piece of the conversation as we kind of circle around the consumer segments. Because remember, Moose, that there's demographics in telco, prepaid, postpaid. You talk about regionals. There's elements and wrinkles to this, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And by the way, one thing that I'm theorizing, which is completely possible now, again, it's setting a new precedent. MVNOs might be charging more money.
I think a friend of mine was mentioning that a few weeks ago, several months ago, actually, saying that MVNO wasn't safe. I don't know, man. Maybe you should rub it in our faces a little bit. What do you say, B?
Well, it'd be entertaining. It will be entertaining, that's for sure.
All right. Let's start with this story first, and then we'll cover the three things and round out the show with the T-Mobile piece. All right, I will be sharing all articles here. They'll be pictured for you, so you guys know what we're discussing as you kind of jump into the stream. 58 in the live. Let's go. All right, Comcast unleashes DOCSIS 4.0 service under X-Class Internet brand. All right, so Zero Cool actually shared this with me. Yeah, sometime early this morning, wasn't it? Zero Cool, you sent the text, I think.
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
did.
peep this out, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
here we go, man. Comcast said that it's going to roll out DOCSIS 4.0 in more markets, and it's starting this year and it's starting this quarter. Colorado Springs is happening next week. Parts of Atlanta, Philadelphia by the end of the year. The company claims that this is the world's first deployments of DOCSIS 4.0. So what they're doing is they're going to brand this as X-Class Internet plans using the newest Xfinity advanced gateways with a companion modem to deliver multi-gig symmetrical speed. And then next year, Comcast will introduce the first DOCSIS 4.0 capable gateways. So they'll have like a new all-in-one, configuration or whatever. So X-Class is going to be the new brand name for the symmetrical internet offerings from Comcast. It will be symmetrical 2 gig speeds. The symmetrical service tiers will start at 300 megabits for the entry-level plan. There will be a 500 megabit plan and a 1 gig megabit plan. Well, 1,000 megabit plan. Prices will range from $55 a month for the 300 megabit service symmetrical, $115 for the 2 gig symmetrical. Prices are based on their paperless and auto pay discount. This is going to be a big one, guys. We're talking about HFC here, hybrid fiber coax, offering the symmetrical speeds. This puts it basically on the same page with the performance we see from fiber. The way they're doing this is with mid-splits, full duplex DOCSIS, what they call FDX technology. The mid-split approach, I think, Zero Cool, you've explained this pretty well to me before in the past. So this was kind of like on our radar, right? And this is fiber meets coax, right? And it's gonna make the networking capacity like fiber to the consumer and their premise. I'm looking at some of the other details from the release. It looks like virtualized cable modem termination system, the digital nodes for DOCSIS 4.0. They mentioned, a couple other network pieces. They're going to be using ML and artificial intelligence to kind of supplement the functionality. They're using 1 gigahertz or 1.2 gigahertz of spectrum within the coax portion of the network, and the rest is going to be a fiber backbone. So that's what we know, and that's what it's going to be. And I'm telling you guys, it couldn't come at a better time because fixed wireless access has been kicking cable's ass, and here we go. All right, let me get Zero Cool in here first because the man knows a thing or two about a thing or two in this.
Yeah, I mean, this is,
Did I cover everything first of all, or did I miss anything?
No, you got it. No, I mean, this is good. So we're starting to see, not just from Comcast, but multiple carriers. We're seeing multi-gig speed. That's kind of like the theme here, the wording, right? Multi-gig speed. You see that from AT&T Fiber. You see that from millimeter wave. You see that from mid-band. Okay. This is here. It is now here. The day of multi-gig speed is now here. We see this with Comcast, Access 4.0. They're getting it first to market in the cable industry. They've always kind of been, usually first to things. And then Spectrum and then Cox will probably follow after that. So yeah, this is up to 2 gigabytes symmetrical. This is good. This is a huge capacity, huge speed increase. And this would be great for the gamers, streamers, people that really need that bandwidth. Big companies, stuff like that. So this is good. It's the whole build it and they will come type approach. People have been waiting a long time, and especially people have been waiting for these symmetrical speeds. Especially on the upload side, right? The uplink.
Mm-hmm.
They need there's been a lot of surveys, a lot of consumer reports, a lot of data to show, not just from cable, but from wireless too, that people need their upload. They need to be able to TikTok and Facebook and upload their videos and stuff like that. They definitely need it now more than ever, right? So 2 gigabytes a second, select neighborhoods. More coming soon. This is I'm guessing this is kind of be probably like the rollout of how AT&T fiber was, probably maybe a little bit faster. But yeah, this is a good time for consumers, good time for I'm just going to kind of classify this as the multi-gig industry, right? No longer we're going to have to suffer with 100, 200 megabyte type services. We are now in the multi-gig era, and this is just this is great. It's great that everybody can do this now. So it's it's a seamless connection pretty much from your internet provider to mobile. You don't have to. You have enough bandwidth to do what you guys to do what's needed to to have all the services they need, to all the throughput, and to make people's lives easier with more internet, faster speeds, better internet. So yeah, it's good stuff.
All right, let's get Moose up in here. Moose.
So the only difference between a AT&T fiber internet connection and a cable connection with DOCSIS 4.0 is the way that I'm gonna make it like super layman's terms. From the junction box to the customer's home, that's the only difference. In a full fiber situation, it's fiber to the premises, right? Fiber to the home.
Fiber at each step, basically.
Right. Fiber to the home, right. In a cable situation, it's still pretty much the exact same thing, except in this case, it's coaxial to the home, right? So we all knew that DOCSIS 4.0 was a big deal because essentially it brings to parity cable with fiber to an extent, right? But the pricing is going to be interesting. We still need to figure that out. However, what's going to end up happening is, if pricing is too expensive, I think that, folks, especially in this economy, are still going to gravitate towards cheaper options for the moment.
But Moose, 55 for the 300. That's just like AT&T fiber.
Yeah, I know, but
and then 500, and then they got a 500 option if you want that, and 2 gig service is 115. That's cheaper than AT&T.
Yeah, let me make one more point. The next speed increase after 2 gigabyte, it's going to go to 5 gigabyte once you hit 1.89 gigahertz of the cable, and then up to 10 gigabyte. So 10 gigabytes kind of like the max right now for DOCSIS 4. So eventually we'll be at 10 gigabyte through and through.
Right, but what I'm saying is, right, like, it depends on the configuration, maybe with the mobility plans from Xfinity or Spectrum Mobile, whenever Spectrum announces that they're going to be doing 4.0. T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T are doing $35 a month for their home internet. And who knows? It could be a price war, right? It could go down to 25. You never know. I know.
Yeah, but offering symmetrical speed, I wouldn't expect cable to downsell, man. They can literally say, "This is a dedicated line run to your house. You're not sharing bandwidth."
Hold on. It's not a dedicated line. It's never going to be a dedicated line. Not even a
Right,
GPON
but Moose,
is
come on, man. We're
dedicated.
talking about a wireless connection that could lose 80% throughput in 2 hours.
Correct. But
So
the same
that's
thing.
risky business, and especially when people are doing data-intensive transfers and downloads. Like Moose, we've discussed what happens when you try to download games on Xbox Live or whatever, and you're trying to do it over fixed wireless.
Yeah.
So these guys have an advantage, and I think they're going to leverage that. They could literally say you can't touch this speed on fixed wireless when we talk about uplink.
Well, like I was saying, the only thing that well, remember, it's never a dedicated connection. None of these GPON nor cable are dedicated connections, right? They're a shared connection, right? You have multiple different units going to a junction box, right? A PFP, and
You
then
got a
it
thousand. You got
flips.
1,000 people on a sector on a cell site. You ain't got 1,000 people at a at a junction box.
No, yeah, of course. But I don't think that the carriers are that crazy to put 1,000 people on a sector,
But that's my
unless you're
point. Is
T-Mobile.
you? It's not even. You won't like it's 100.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't have 100 phones on a sector, Moose. You could have 1,000 on a sector. That can happen.
Correct. But home
Oh
internet,
yeah,
I don't.
yep.
Yeah, you could have even 10,000 phones in a sector, but
Well, that
that was,
ain't gonna work.
you know, we've done that, and trust me, we've done that in T-Mobile back in 2016. We had
Yeah, and it didn't
17,000
work, did it,
connections.
Moose? And it didn't
Exactly,
work, did it?
it
Yeah.
completely overloaded. But that was back in LTE days, man. Not even LTE advanced days,
And
but
that shit failed at
you know,
200. Please, man.
but no, I mean, this is great news. Competition is always good, right? Because that means that now the the race to get to the new homes is on. You get what I'm saying, Chacha?
I do.
Whichever provider gets to these new homes first is essentially the incumbent. Potentially, cable is going to be an afterthought. So, anyways, go ahead.
All right, let's go ahead and get B in on this. B, go.
Great points made by everybody. I don't think there's going to be a price war. I think those days are done. All these companies owe billions of dollars, so they're not about to be on on this whole race to the bottom. That ain't
They
going to
trade
happen.
publicly.
But
They trade publicly, right?
absolutely, they're publicly traded companies that have investors that want returns. The telecommunications industry collectively has not been very good at giving returns to their investors, so they've all kind of been in the tank collectively for a while now. So it's time to get the returns. So I don't think there's going to be a price war. I think that fixed wireless will always be a little bit cheaper than fiber or DOCSIS service, as it should be. But it's not the point to try to charge the same price. The whole purpose is to offer solutions to places that didn't have any solutions. So fixed wireless access is doing its job. Without that particular product, we would have seen big cable continuing to be big cable and not innovate, not upgrade their networks or anything like that. So fixed wireless has done and is doing its job very, very well, and it'll continue to do that. I agree that competition is great for the consumer always. Um, it just means none of these companies can rest on their laurels. They've got to continue to build. They've got to continue to improve the network. They got to continue to offer a solid product, you know, laced with good, solid, decent customer care. All that stuff is important now. But with all of these developments, I hope to see people and also the government kind of tip their hat to the industry, because it seems like every time we turn around, there's some politician or there's some entity or some faction that seems to be upset about the industry as a whole and what it's not doing. But I would say the last 3 to 4 years have seen some of the most progress that we've seen in this space, probably in the last 20 years at least. So definitely a good time for consumers to consume, for people to be connected, and to be able to do it at a price that's fair and reasonable.
All right, let's round it off with EM. Where you at, bruh?
Hopefully, I can stay connected. I'm kind of out in the middle of nowhere right now. I don't know. I like seeing for Comcast or WoW Cable, whoever it is. I know my area is not getting DOCSIS 4 anytime soon, so I don't have anything personally to look forward to. But it's good to see. I don't have much to add, unfortunately.
That's a bummer, man. It'd be nice well, who serves like some of the surrounding area where you live and work? Who's the cable provider?
It's all Charter.
Oh, it's Rectum. Ugh.
Yep.
Yep. They're
And
the
my
worst.
submarket or my hub or whatever, however they have their distribution set up, isn't set to get DOCSIS 4 until end of year 2025.
So you're on ice.
Yeah, I'll be moved out by that point. We're looking to move, and
You're looking for fiber, right?
I told them that our place has to have fiber, has to have it, otherwise we're not.
What if it has millimeter wave from Verizon?
I would do it. I would do fixed wireless over millimeter wave as a substitute to fiber.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's my only exception, bro.
I feel you, bro. I feel you. All right, good stuff, man. Big upgrades coming from these companies. It's going to take some time for it to scale for sure. All right, AT&T, Google Fiber, Verizon score in customer satisfaction according to a survey. AT&T, Google Fiber, and Verizon scored highest across 4 regions surveyed for an annual customer satisfaction report from J.D. Power. Based on responses from 20,000 subs across the U.S., the survey also indicated satisfaction among wireless internet customers is higher than fiber and cable. Oh, God, here we go. Scores for 5G and 4G LTE home internet averaged 748 on a 1,000-point scale, while overall satisfaction among fiber and cable averaged 712. Satellite internet subs averaged the lowest overall score at 577. All right, guys, we got to talk about this. 5G and 4G LTE home internet scored 748. Fiber and cable, 712. Zero cool. Why?
What? So this is pretty much saying that. Okay, so this is pretty much saying that the 5G and 4G 5G and LTE are better than cable, pretty much. Better than fiber
The
and cable.
customer satisfaction rating is better.
Well, here's the thing. Like I know Verizon has been improving their customer service. When I call, it's I get better response times. They seem to want to fix your issue instead of just price gouge you. Yeah, I hope they continue. With this, these higher speeds, these increased mobility, increased services, products, stuff like that. The more content they're pushing out, we need the customer service to match, right? We do. We need.
So you think it's customer care related?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, because that's really the nitty gritty of it. We're trying to figure out why wireless home internet is winning. Because here's the second piece to this. Average monthly cost for fixed wireless home internet, $79. Average cost for wireline, $72. So the cost for wireless is $7 more expensive. It's about a 10% difference. They're paying 10% more and they're much more satisfied.
That's accurate.
That's pretty wild, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're paying what, $100 plus for your cell phone bill and like 60 to 80 for your cable bill, somewhere around there. That's pretty accurate. I don't know if I could probably see, even though we just talked about the DOCSIS pricing, I could see probably a time to where the cable industry will try to match wireless pricing. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say right now, but I could see something along those lines. They're definitely trying to be, have parity with their multi-gig speed. Why not parity with price? But then again, I feel that the wireless companies will deliver more in content and products and services. There's more to offer when you're mobile. So then again, that's your higher customer service. So I think that's why they score higher.
Moose, let me get you in on this, man. You saw the numbers. What's going on here, man?
Had a very recent anecdotal here. A really good friend of mine moved into a new apartment in New Jersey, and it has it has FiOS, and it's been a nightmare to get it set up. Absolutely terrible experience to get it set up. She would much rather just connect AT&T Internet Air if it was available, or even Verizon, home internet through the C band, because it's plug and play versus the damn fiber ONT not working, the buildings junction box, or the splitter not working. Something's wrong, right? To having three different technicians in 3 separate days come out versus you turn on the cube or the egg or whatever, or the trash
Program
can.
and yeah,
That's it. And that's it.
set it in
That's
your
why
window. Yeah.
that's why the customer sat is so much higher right now on the home internet. Now, of course, that could be the case. Customer satisfaction is up until you need to do a download or an upload. Because this is the exact same thing that a good friend of mine also experienced, where, for example, today is the beta for Xbox and for PC and for PS5 second weekend for Modern Warfare 3. If you're doing the download, it's several tens of gigabytes to download. Fixed wireless is not meant to do that, right? You need a fiber connection or a cable connection, a fixed connection, right? So, again, for the folks that they don't care about internet, they just like something simple, something easy, plug and play. That's why home internet has such higher customer satisfaction. But for the true people that need the horsepower, they need, a reliable connection in terms of speed all the time on. You got to go with fiber, or wait for DOCSIS 4.0. But cable's fine for what it is right now.
Mm, got you. All right, let me get B in this. B, you saw the numbers. You got fixed wireless, 5G, 4G LTE, basically kicking wireline's ass, and that includes fiber and cable. Why, man?
Because it's available and it's cheaper than fiber and cable. That's it.
No,
I
wireless is
mean,
$7 more expensive on average.
if you're a wireless customer and you're bundling, it's cheaper. So
Gotcha.
yeah, you're right. For the person who's getting it by themselves, or getting it as a standalone offering, absolutely, I agree.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
most people, if you have an AT&T or you have Verizon or you have T-Mobile, you're getting it from that carrier because it makes the most sense financially. So because it's been made, excuse me, readily available, and because it's competitively priced, and it probably will remain competitively priced in comparison to big cable and to fiber, that's the reason why it has the ratings that it does. It's available and it's very cost effective. And of course, to Moose's point, it's also easy to use and easy to troubleshoot and all that kind of thing as well. Easy to set up. So it makes a lot of sense for it to be a few points higher than everything else. Fiber's a grind. You gotta, I don't know, attach to somebody's house or something like that, or and something stupid happens and maybe you lose, or I don't know. But with the box, you don't have necessarily those same points of failure. So with it being cheaper, with it being readily available in so many places where people actually are, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. And it to me this also validates the position of Verizon and T-Mobile with respect to their heavy investment into fixed wireless. I think if people had a choice, they would choose a connected fiber option because it is the best technology that you can buy. But again, that stuff's not available. DOCSIS 4.0, even when it launches, it's not going to be available in the same. It's not going to have the same coverage map as C-band and band 41 has with T-Mobile. That stuff is out there, and it's only getting out. It got out there pretty fast. So, this seems like par for the course, and I don't expect it to slow down anytime soon.
All right, so let me jump in on this, and then I'm going to bring EM, and Dennis just got in. So shout out to Dennis. We'll get to you in a second here. So I believe when I look at all these factors, to me, it's just the venom for cable. These are just folks that want to get the hell away from cable. They've been stuck without a player for so long as an option. They're just like, oh, hell yeah, this is so much better than cable. It may or may not be, but they're just so aggravated from like the last several years of getting jerked around in pricing, promotional rates, and then price exploding. And then possibly like, Zero Cool was saying, a bad customer care experience or two. I think also unreliable could be a factor. I mean, Cox Communications is by far the worst provider in the Cleveland area. I mean, Vegas, Phoenix, everybody's got problems with them. They're trash. So between old legacy infrastructure, less reliable pricing, like people were just dying to get away. And, it's like when you get that new shiny thing, you're like, oh, this is so much better than the old thing I had. It really is just like subjectively evaluating comparatively to what you had before, which you hated. So of course the only way is up. You just left something you hated. The the enemy of thy enemy is thy friend. You know what I mean? So I think I think some of that is in play. EM, you heard B, you heard me, you heard Zero Cool, you heard Moose. Any of that strike a chord with you?
Yeah, you stole my thunder, bro. I was gonna say exactly that.
Oh,
I think that the disdain for the incumbent providers in a given customer's area and just years and years and years of no competition is what's driving that customer satisfaction upwards,
but let me
right?
tell you
Like,
why, EM. Let me tell you my reason why I believe it, and then you give me yours. I think when I look at the pricing, where you have $7 more expensive for wireless on average, and they're still saying it's better.
well,
You
yeah,
get what I'm
yeah.
saying,
I mean,
Ian?
the pricing I don't think is and that's the telltale sign right there, right? Like, because I think that the narrative has been from analysts and from the industry is that fixed wireless is only going to be competitive because it's cheap. And in reality, it has nothing to do with the price. The pricing is just icing on the cake. It's the fact that there's available options for people that previously had one provider that could just stick it to them for years. Like that to me is the biggest reason why. But all the other guys have very valid points. So I'll let Dennis talk now.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack here as far as points go. I think so. As everyone knows on this show, I grew up out in the middle of Egypt. I got to experience the tail end of DSL or a tail end of dial-up. I got excited when there was DSL, and I had Armstrong cable. And when I lived in the middle of nowhere, I thought Armstrong cable was horrible. Right? They were expensive. They were not increasing speeds in comparison to other places. But little did I know that Armstrong really wasn't the worst because they were regional. They were all American-based support. They got trucks out pretty quick, right? But once I came out to here, where I live now in the city, right, I had this whimsical idea about how fiber was going to be perfection. And as everyone knows, I had my little tale about how it wasn't perfection. I had a problem, and it took 6 months to fix. Now, once it got fixed, I had very little issues. My pricing's been stable. It's been hunky-dory. I don't really have any real complaints. And I love it. But I have perspective of comparison to different options, which most people don't get the luxury of doing because most people don't move around. Like like that, or if they do, they're moving around within like the same general region where you're not going to see a divergence of providers to compare to know what it's like on the other side. So there's not like an appreciation. As far as the pricing goes, I think price is super important. Price is what actually gets people to try the fixed wireless, because if it wasn't cheaper, people probably wouldn't switch and people probably wouldn't stay. The reason why I bring up the comparison to like trying out other things is because I have a suspicion that as time goes on and more people adopt the fixed wireless solution, you're probably going to see the delta between fixed wireless as far as customer satisfaction scores goes and the fiber providers and cable operators go all kind of align within a 20-point delta. Because realistically speaking, all these ISPs, all these telcos aren't really doing anything that drastically different from each other. They're all outsourcing support. They're all limiting or trying to cut back on the costs associated with things like installations, pushing self-service installs and trying to, just really limit things and cut back on these like costs that have just been growing due to a variety of factors, whether it be shortage of the workers that they need to get, like for technicians, to other aspects. Overall though, I think that the biggest issue that really comes into play here is that there's no standardization in the home internet space, right? Like, I talk about Comcast, right? There's plenty of people on here within their regions where Comcast didn't maintain their networks adequately, right? I'm fortunate where Pittsburgh wasn't one of those areas. Pittsburgh seems to be one of the first to get upgrades. We were one of the first to get the mid splits. We were one of the first to get, DOCSIS 3 when that was a thing. Like my market is very well treated by Comcast. I know that's not the case for anyone else. And I think that's a big contributing factor when we look at companies like Google Fiber, like AT&T, like Verizon, because on paper, right, if every market was like a Pittsburgh for Fios, on paper, Verizon should be having the best customer service scores. Obviously, they have DSL, which, in those markets, that's going to limit them. But in theory, they should be doing really well. Same thing with Google Fiber specifically, too, because they don't have any DSL footprint. They should be ranking really high. They don't do the price jacking like other telco companies in the space. Same thing with Verizon. They've gotten away from promos for a while now, so they haven't really been doing the price jacking. So a lot of the things that people have Venom for hasn't really existed in the home internet space with those two companies in particular for a little bit now. So yeah, I rambled a lot, but TLDR, I don't think fixed wireless is this golden bullet. I think the higher satisfaction scores are a short-term thing just simply due to price. And as you guys touched on, it's a new option. But I think that once people actually get that realization, that real experience of it versus the fantasy that comes from advertising or, that whimsical thought of, wow, I wish I had something else, they're going to probably start to stabilize and go back to other solutions, because fixed wireless really isn't in its current form well suited for a good portion of home internet use cases. Specifically, I'm referring to things like gaming or anything that's latency sensitive. And a lot of households have kids. A lot of households have a gamer. I think that's a big thing. If you're a light user, sure, it's great. If you're just streaming video, sure, it's fine, as long as you're not on T-Mobile specifically and dealing with things like Hulu Live, because we know about the IP and the location issues that prevent it from working properly. But yeah, that's my stance.
So the pricing, Dennis?
Yeah.
The wireless pricing is $7 more expensive than the wireline on average.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's why we're all kind of like, well, that's unusual. Like B brought up a good point. He said with a wireless bundle with the home internet, then it brings the cost down. But the straight up pricing is $7 more expensive than wireline on average.
I'm assuming this is being compared to a promotional price, I'm assuming. And the reason why
okay, go ahead.
Reason why I say that is because the whatever term you want to use for it, depending on the company, the full retail rate, right? The full retail rate on average for the cheapest internet plan is no less than 65. And that's for, generally speaking, 50 meg by 5. That's pretty standard across Cabletown. and that's also pretty standard across FiberCo. $50. That's your non-promotional rate that you typically see on the low end for like your entry-level speed tier. Next step up, you see a pretty dramatic increase in cost from all of Cabletown, jumping up to around 80 or 92 if you're renting their equipment, which is a lot more expensive than the wireless. It's where the promos come in that things get cheaper, and I have a very sneaking suspicion that that's where that's coming in at, on how it's $7 cheaper, because the promos, as we all know, is Cabletown's MO. They'll come in at like a cheap $30 plan for 200 or something, but it'll only be good for like 2 years, right? It's not like the real price. That's just the discounted rate.
Got you. All right, man. Time to pivot. This is the elephant in the room. Moose wanted to talk about it. So, Moose, here's where I want to start with this conversation. T-Mobile is pushing some unlimited customers onto pricier plans. Let's talk about the number of impacted accounts and customers. So, Moose, I believe this is an attack on free lines. I believe this is an attack on heavily discounted lines, right? We're talking about Simple Choice, T-Mobile One, even Magenta plans. These plans, on average, are increasing $10 per line as they force switch customers from those old legacy plans to the new Go 5G structure, right? The number of customers impacted by this shift, we're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 80% of the T-Mobile accounts are on legacy plans. Magenta, T-Mobile One, Simple Choice. Only a small minority of accounts are currently Go 5G, Go 5G Plus. So this is going to impact a large majority of customers. So I've reached out to who I consider to be close to the action, and the information is almost 80% of customers are on legacy plans, non-Go 5G plans. So Magenta MAX are not impacted by this for now. Sprint plans are not impacted by this for now. I believe that those will have their day next year, right? Because those plans will be 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. So they'll be ripe for the picking. But that's the scale, Moose. Almost 80% of accounts will be impacted by this change. So think about that scale, Moose, and kind of reflect on that and kind of think aloud about that impact.
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to come prepared for this stream, for this podcast, was anecdotals. Okay. Back when I worked at T-Mobile, the main demographic in 2016 was primarily Hispanic and Asians. Okay. That hasn't changed much, by the way. But what I can say is that back then, there was already 40 million plus connections. Okay. Now, I have some examples and anecdotals that I have asked if I could share them, because Sneed did request, like, what are people thinking? What's going on? Besides besides our community, which they are the more informed community compared to the general populace, right? Sneed, do you want me to share that now, or do you want me to continue going on in the train of thought that you were establishing?
Well, so just kind of let it go where it goes, Moose. I want you to give us what you have
Okay.
with respect to, like, having those conversations with the everyday,
Okay.
T-Mobile customer.
So I have a guy, originally from Orange County. He's now in the FAA. He's a flight controller for LAX, and he works out of Palmdale, slightly north of Los Angeles. He has had a account since early 2000s. Okay. He has 12 lines with T-Mobile, and he's only paying about $110, $115 total for the account.
$10 a line.
basically. So, and by the way, this is all the bells and whistles that are on there: unlimited, HD video, or whatever, right? The only thing that he doesn't get is the device subsidy plans, right? The installment plans, and you get like the free phone,
Netflix,
whatever. I believe, yes, he does get Netflix. Yes,
T-Mobile Tuesdays,
yes,
Thong Thursdays.
yes.
Oh shit, go ahead.
He gets pretty much everything. Um, if I'm not mistaken, he also gets either unlimited hotspot or ridiculously, like almost 100 gigs plus. I don't remember the exact plan, but the point is, he is one of the demographics that we've talked about it on the podcast, that he only stayed on T-Mobile because the price was too good. Okay. He knows that he can get FirstNet. He knows that he could be getting Verizon, right? He has a government
He works for the
issued,
FAA, right?
exactly. He has a government issued discount regardless of where he goes. He is a very intelligent guy. He worked at Raytheon before the FAA. He reads between the lines. This guy straight up told me, even if I was to opt out today and opt out for this year, there's no guarantee that in 2024 I will keep the opt out. This is a temporary opt out. The guy already called it. What is the incentive for T-Mobile? He said this to me. What is the incentive for T-Mobile for keeping me permanently opt out from a price increase that they in the future? They will have to get more money out of me. So might as well, he said, pivot to a different carrier. Boom. Bomb number one. This guy already called it. His family already is preparing the transition because he knows that the era that he has been with T-Mobile for all these years is done. Okay, that's one anecdotal. Asian American. Let me give you a Hispanic American. Okay. T-Mobile, also Los Angeles. Okay. How many lines? 10. How much is he paying? He's only paying 115. Sorry, 150 for 10 lines because of all the damn free lines and all this other nonsense. Okay. He is very interested in the Go 5G, the most premium plan. But unfortunately, it is going to be way too expensive for him and his family.
It's gonna price him out.
Way too much money. He has been buying phones directly from the OEMs in order to keep the rate plan. When he found the news from all the major publications, CNET, The Verge, etc., he tried to call Care. But the first thing that he realized is, wait a minute, we're in 2023. Why do I have to call Care to get something opted out if it's literally just a flip of just a checkbox?
So why do they want you to call, right, Moose? They
Right.
want to talk to you.
Correct.
And what
And
they're gonna say is, this is not a price increase. This is a different plan,
so
right?
he actually did call, and he felt very offended that there is no more loyalty. There's nothing now. It's like a regular carrier, he's explained. He's like, I've been with you guys for a decade plus. What are you guys gonna do for me? Nothing. This is what it is. You have to migrate over to a plan that, these are the options, right? And then he's like, okay, I don't want to do that. Okay, no problem. But then the customer service representative's like, we can opt you out, but you're not going to be able to take full advantage of all the benefits that we're offering with the new plans. because they are trying to upsell, to get them on the new plans. But here's another person that recognizes that his time is short. So he's going to write out the opt out option. However, he knows that it's just a matter of time. He needs to start planning. Boom, number two. Okay. Totally different people. Yes, they're from the same region, but keep in mind, Los Angeles market is the number 2 market of T-Mobile. Number 1 is New York City. Okay, in terms of just raw population, how many subscribers they have. This is not sitting well with customers. Whoever says that they're happy about this is a thong straight up. I don't subscribe to the fact that you guys are okay with the fact that this is a forced migration, because I'm telling you this right now, only the people that actually will find out about this will actually give a damn to call. Many people are not going to know about this. That is the sad truth. We called it on the previous podcast. There's potentially 50 million people plus impacted. How are all of these people going to be able to call within 30 days to opt out? And they've only given an option to opt out through the care, through calling, not through
But by
online.
the way, Moose,
Yeah, go ahead.
some of the care agents are not privy to the knowledge. Some some care agents don't even know what this is.
This is
So
even
there
more.
are customers calling and they're saying, "Look, don't touch my plan, don't do this," and the care reps are like, "What are you talking about?"
They
They don't
are
even know.
exactly. They're not trained. This is incompetence to the highest order. Okay.
So
So
understaffed,
understaffed.
undertrained,
Yep.
The John Fryer special, bro.
and these customers are coming with all the smoke.
So I just want to stop right there because there's other examples, right, that I can go on later. But I just go ahead, Sneed, with the
Uh,
reactions. I want to hear from just the two anecdotals that I was able to get today, because I'm telling you, I am very upset that the people that I know are being treated like this.
I,
Personally, know them for years. I've known these guys. Go ahead.
I want to come in on this because I came prepared for this topic alone. So Moose, you touched on a point on one of your anecdotals where you were talking about how I think you said the Asian Americans said they're becoming just like a carrier. No, T-Mobile's not becoming just like a carrier, because traditional carrier MO when it comes to legacy plans is
Raise
they'll
prices.
force you off it if you want to finance a device. That's how they would get you. And if they really wanted to raise prices, they would raise the price on the plan, but not change the user's plan. There's a reason why my family never left AT&T. Yes, prices happened on legacy plans. Yes, we couldn't get like 2-year contracts on legacy plans, or we would have to move to a new plan. But there was always an option out to keep grandfathered in on the old stuff. And if they ever did completely retire a plan, like how they did with some of the older mobile value share plans, what AT&T would do is they'd move us up to like whatever the next best thing was at the same price point. AT&T did that. That's what AT&T did. That's why my dad and my family has been with AT&T literally since like 1960 or whatever year it was on the account. I saw some comments in here about Verizon, specifically from Ryan, pushing them off. Verizon still has people on the original OG Unlimited plan. Sneed's one of them. Carlos is one of them. Yes, the price went up, but the plan still exists if you were willing to pay. What T-Mobile is doing is completely different. Now, while Go 5G might be very much akin to Magenta MAX pretty much in every way, especially because it does have the two, like the finance over. While it might be the same as effectively raising the price, it's still a blow to the nads, because the whole reason that I personally stuck around with T-Mobile all this time is not because their network was ever really the best. It wasn't until literally within the last year that T-Mobile's network got good enough in Pittsburgh. I did it because I wanted to be grandfathered in on a really good plan. That's why I got in early. That's why I suffered. The moment that T-Mobile forces me off Magenta MAX and raises my price, I will be left with one of two options. Option A, I'll cancel all the redundant lines that I have and go back down to one line. So T-Mobile gets less revenue from me because I don't actually need the extra 3 lines. Or, and this is the more likely one, I will just go to Verizon. I have a fantastic Verizon account, thanks to the support of the community, that is legitimately cheaper than I've ever paid with any other carrier for a single line. I'm only paying like $55 for an unlimited ultimate plan. Verizon fixed most of my issues that I had with Verizon just by simply adding the 1080p video res. It was a small thing, but a big thing. They fixed it. Nothing about T-Mobile and today makes them need me to stay with them, right? It's not like they have AT&T level quality of network in Pittsburgh, and it's not like Pittsburgh doesn't have competition for network coverage. So that ain't it. As far as plans go, every carrier has unlimited now, and every carrier has a fairly similar premium option. So that ain't it. And it's not like customer service is like leaps and bounds better either than any of the other carriers right now. I think we can all agree on this panel. The one that has improved the most with customer service, and I would argue has the best customer service right now in the carrier space, is AT&T. So this is just the height of foolishness. As far as the people saying that there'll be a lawsuit against T-Mobile, doubtful, because T-Mobile does have in their terms of service that they have the right to make changes to plans and end plans. Like, they've already got that covered. Like, I don't think this will be a legal thing, but I do think this will definitely be a thing that sees increased churn over the next, let's call it 2 to 3 quarters before stabilization. And I do think that the churn will probably be pretty sizable. I think that let me rephrase that. I think the way it gets reflected will be sizable because a lot of these accounts will be the ones that have the free lines that you were talking about, which previously inflated T-Mobile subscriber numbers. I think that there are going to be a lot of accounts that leave. And when they do leave, I don't think that the other carrier is going to get all 10 of those lines per se, because I think a lot of them are going to be in situations like me where they just had them to have them because they were free. But this sucks really hard. It's actually somewhat unprecedented. Like I said, historically, you could stay on your plan and just pay more. That was the historical MO for the carrier space. It was like that since the dawn of time. It is very new in the carrier space to be just forced off a plan, period, kerblanc, without any form of like needing to upgrade or adding a line or something that would facilitate the justification to make the change, because those used to be the old MOs, right? Like, I know with AT&T, when they really wanted people off the old unlimited plan, I'm talking about the OG one with the unlimited hotspot. I know one of the things that AT&T did, like I said, was the upgrades. And then later on, one of the things they did was if you couldn't add lines to the account. They stopped you from being able to add lines to the account in the future. If you did, you'd have to switch over. Those are the ways they forced you. But if you made no changes, AT&T was perfectly happy taking your pay, taking your money.
Hey, big shout out to Big Sept giving us the update. He said he called in to prevent the migration through, opting out, and he said you can't do it until the 17th. All right, good to know. So, yep. So you guys are going to be all calling at the same time, holding hot L's off the press. Frank, let me get you on this, Frank. What's going on, brother? What can you tell us, man?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me on again tonight. I've been very patiently waiting and listening to all the points all you guys have been making, and everybody is very valid. And I share in Moose's frustration, as I'm sure he can relate as a former retail employee for T-Mobile. This is by far the slimiest thing they've ever done. And one of the reasons verbatim that I never thought I would, but I ended up switching, like Dennis is considering switching to Verizon, because I have been giving T-Mobile my money for years. I have been with them since I graduated high school in 2014. So the moment that they decided to do this whole forced migration, which at the beginning they were trying to make it sound like they weren't doing a forced migration, is the moment that I decided to start paying off my installment plans. Hey, I'm making money hand over fist for this company as a salesperson. So once I get my next commission check, my remaining 2 lines and installment plans with T-Mobile, boom, those are getting paid off, and I'm also switching to Verizon on those lines too. So this is very frustrating because working in the retail space, I already know as an assistant manager at my retail location. Once tomorrow comes at the 17th, over this whole situation, will be getting sworn at, cussed at, disrespected by customers who think that my store reps have control over this. Just like they are going to be forced to migrate to these new plans, so are the reps and so are the people that work in the stores. As an example, I've already lost my free lines. I had one free line on my
Is it when
account.
you switched your account over to the newer ones?
Yes, I
Okay.
already lost my free lines when I was migrated from Magenta Max to Go 5G Plus because they forced employees to do that whenever 5G Plus came out. We weren't allowed to stay on Magenta Max. Whenever they made me switch my plan, I lost my free lines. So I went
How
from
many?
paying
Wow.
two of them, two
Two.
free lines, and with my employee discount, I was only paying $90 a month for 3 lines and 2 home internet lines, and my bill immediately went up to 170. So if they're doing it to sales reps and people that work for the company and make money for the company, and they don't care, what makes people think they're going to care about customers calling in to opt out of the migration?
Can I just quickly clarify? Just quickly, I'm not changing unless they affect my Magenta Max. I just want to make sure that's clear.
They
Uh,
will. It's
but
already been confirmed. My district manager told me this morning that by end of this year, beginning next year, that even Magenta Max customers will be forced to
I
migrate
knew
because
it,
he.
man. See,
Yeah, yeah.
this is that bullshit.
This is
Let me say something.
blasphemous.
Let me say something right now. In my video, I said this is the tip of the iceberg. Just because they didn't include certain plans doesn't mean they ain't coming for them next year in 2024. They're going to take all that shit away. And just because
Everybody
you
that's not
opt
on.
out now, and just because you opt out now doesn't mean they ain't going to take it from you next year. They're going to say to you, "Hey, we let you have it for a little bit longer, but the time has come. Pay the piper."
Everyone that's not on 5G Next will be getting migrated. If you're not making the revenue for the 5G Next plan, which is the $100 month plan for the single line,
Guys,
they
look at
don't
how the
care.
stars align. Frank, look at this. Industry low churn over the last 2 quarters. Think about the timing, right? They stabilized the company, right? Now they're going to have a churn bubble. And now what? It's going to be all blurred lines. The entire industry's it's all a gray area. Nobody's different anymore.
what I don't
And
understand, what I don't understand personally from T-Mobile on this is from a financial standpoint, right? Like if I look at the financials, wouldn't it make more sense to leave Magenta Max customers alone? Because you've already made it so Magenta Max customers can't get the device
Bro,
financing.
Magenta Max is like a year and a half old.
Right.
I know, but listen, you've already made it so the customers they lost the ability to device financing, right? You remove that from them. That's a huge thing. You've removed the ability for them to finance devices and get the promos, like the full promo values. And essentially, from a revenue standpoint, there's not really that much of a difference between that and what's it called, Go 5G Plus or whatever.
Go
There's
5G Next.
Go 5G Next. There's not that much of a difference between that and Magenta Max. It's like a what, $5-10 difference max?
It
Like,
is if you're a customer, but if you're an employee, it's a $25 difference. That's where they're going to get people.
but I'm saying, like, is it really worth going through the aggravation and then, because like I said before, T-Mobile, by offering the free line, made me go from 1-line person to at least paying 2-line pricing. So that's doubling their revenue, right? And yes, I have 2 other lines, but it's not like they're getting used. So they're getting more revenue from me than they did if they hadn't offered these promotions. Is it really worth pissing people off, especially loyal customers that paid their bill on time? Because I've been with them since 2013. So literally a decade. Is it really worth burning a bridge and losing out on the revenue just to potentially extract more from, like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, again, I can understand them
Dennis,
using
the
the credit.
$5 to $10 extra per line is really important to them that they're resorting to this.
Yes,
Right.
but five
Mhm.
to $10 more potentially versus zero. Like the half loaf is better than no loaf is the analogy that I want to use here.
Dennis, they have number one churn rate in the industry. They have everybody tricked. The last uncarrier move was trade in your AT&T locked phone for a T-Mobile locked phone. Are you serious, bro? Are we watching the same movie?
Can I
Yeah.
jump back in here real quick before I lose my
Yeah.
train of thought?
Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
so here's the thing. Just like Dennis, like you said, I've been with T-Mobile since 2014. Literally, the first thing I did with my credit was get an account at T-Mobile because my uncle has a grandfather T-Mobile One Plus plan that he's also going to lose that has a One Plus Up add-on with unlimited hotspot. He's not happy about having to opt out. I told him ahead of time to do so. He tried calling today, and he also got told that he can't opt out until the 17th. So get ready, because the 17th is coming. All the store reps are going to be getting cussed out. All the customer service reps on the phone that aren't properly trained, because there is a lot of them. I have to talk to them every day at the store. Aren't trained. They're going to get backlash, and they don't care. Like Sneed has said multiple times, Moose has said multiple times. B, who's patiently waiting his turn to talk, he's said this multiple times. At the end of the day, T-Mobile is a company, and they're going to make company moves. They are no longer the uncarrier; they are the recarrier. And they didn't tell me they took away my free lines. The only way I found out about it was because I checked on my own at a different store and had them pull up my service details, and then I saw that my free lines were no longer free. One of them was $10, and the other one was 5. And my home internet discounts went away. I'm paying 50 a month for each of my home internet lines now too.
Oh man. Yeah, I know. It's he's right. So yeah. So PSA announcement. If you're on T-Mobile, you need to guys get your crap locked in now. If there are any iPhone upgrades, do it now because Eugene's armpits are about to get a lot more sweatier. Okay, understand? I'm serious, guys. Do the T-Mobile crap now because the prices are just going to go up. Now I can't even. There's no free lines. I'm on the next plan. There's no free lines offered to me. You know what happened? I tried to add a line. It wouldn't even let me add a freaking line. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So it's bad. It's really bad. It's going to get worse. This is just the beginning. This is just Sievert, putting on as much shirts as he can so he can't see his soaked, sweaty ass armpits. You think this is bad? You think this is bad? I think what they're going to do, okay, they already jacked up the freaking mobile plans. I think the home internet is next. They're going to
What
try to.
happened to Price Lock though, dog?
Well, okay. What the price lock? They're going to find some. Yeah, I'm on the damn price. I'm on the price lock. I'm on the price lock.
The
They're going to
price
find
lock is
some
about
way.
the plan. If they change the plan, it's not a price lock anymore. They just have to
Exactly. That's the key.
And they
So
don't
if
tell
you,
people that either. The moment you get
no, they don't.
migrated, your internet price will jump just like me. I was paying 60
Exactly.
for 2 lines, now I'm paying 100. Might as well
Yep.
go back to Xfinity.
Yep. So the internet price will raise up as long as they have the new plan. That's the way around it. This is T-Mobile. This is Sievert.
You
See,
know,
guys,
you know who loves this company? B loves this company. He just loves the way they do business.
but think about it,
Stop it,
guys.
Sneed. Stop
Sievert.
it.
Okay, think about this, guys. When Leger was CEO, Sievert was the guy behind every single Un-carrier move. Every single one. It was his brainchild. Every single one. Now that he's in charge, he is finding ways to undo all this and make it more profitable for T-Mobile. This is every move that's happening. He's behind it. Him and John Fryer, right? So this is just lock your crap in now if you're a T-Mobile customer, because if you don't, you're going to pay a lot more.
And the CFO is probably like, yuck, 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 yuck. Yeah, let's do it.
And look, here's another thing,
Yep.
guys. I've been very, very sorry to keep interrupting, but I'm very, very fired up about this, as I'm sure you guys can tell, and I should be, because I literally got my mom to switch from AT&T to T-Mobile because of Go 5G Plus Price Lock Home Internet, because she lives in an area where she's like half a mile from a N41 tower, and at her house she gets like 400 down and 100 up on her T-Mobile Home Internet. But I've been monitoring her bill from the store as well to make sure they don't do the same thing to her. And the moment that they do, I myself will be paying off her installments on her account and I will be merging her account with my account, and we will all be going to AT&T. Because as Dennis likes to say, AT&T will give a discount to anyone that has a heartbeat. AARP, if you're a first responder, if you're prior military, prior police or fire department or anything like that, a teacher, they make it very easy to get a discount. Only reason that I switched from AT&T was because of price lock, and Zero Cool said it better than I ever could. Price lock is gone. That's why I'm on Verizon Home Internet now. And even though I'm only in an LTE area getting 50 by 5, hey, you guys can hear me and I'm not cutting out, right? 200 by
Right.
100 with T-Mobile Home Internet, I would constantly be having drops all the time.
Oh damn.
Live streaming would not be a possibility.
Yeah, this is just happening. You know, I used to work at T-Mobile, you know, in engineering, right? This is just Sievert being Sievert. You know, I can only I bet he's making some backroom deals right now with some other CEO. He's like, how can we get the customer? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? You're right. It's good. This is just the start. It's gonna get a lot worse. So please, 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 if you are a T-Mobile customer, lock in your prices now. Get your iPhone now. If you don't, it will get much worse. You pay higher, and your bill will suck even more.
Team Verizon, that's all I got to say.
Right, exactly.
I want to hear B's comment on this one. B, what do you got, man? This is big time.
Maybe we lost B.
Sweater vest wearing mother. Sorry, I still technically work for the guy, so I gotta watch what I say.
Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that face. I don't work for him anymore. He can
He can eat all the bags,
he
bro.
can eat all the bag.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
asking for trouble, man.
His
He's
smile. Look at that face. His smile's not even real.
He
It
wants
looks
the
like
Gators.
he looks like
Yeah,
some
yeah.
kind of like cell phone serial killer or something. Like this is so bad. Look at him. Horrible. Absolutely
I
horrible.
want the Gators. I want the Gators from Hans. I want the Gators.
He probably has to like shine his gator shoes. Like, oh, yeah, you know, like, oh, it's just so bad. It's gonna
With
get
the
so
blood
much
and
worse.
sweat and tears from all the customers that he's screwing over.
Hey
That's what
guys,
he's getting these Gators.
we're gonna do a throwback. You guys may or may not remember this video. Let's see how long you've been riding with the SMT.
Look at that
Oh,
intro. I
damn.
feel young.
Oh yeah, yep.
Hey, what is going on, SMT Nation? It is your boy, the SMT. We're talking T-Mobile today in this video. I'm gonna look at some commentary we got from the Magenta carrier as Neville Ray, as well as Mike Sievert, the CEO. So the head network guy, the head business, head honcho. We're speaking at the Goldman Sachs conference, and you know, they were talking about the network. They were talking about how they were going to be approaching the future and how they're going to build out and compete in the marketplace. And Neville Ray, the head network guy, was asked if T-Mobile is going in on mid-band, and he basically replied, "We'll see where we get to. There's a lot of decisions that need to be made. More to come." Mike Sievert went on after asked about similar issues or a similar topic in the network. He said, "I think Verizon and AT&T will kill each other over C-band." T-Mobile execs are, they, you know, pause. Who paid the most per megahertz pop of C-band?
Cállate el hocico.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm not an investor when it comes to T-Mobile. I'm not investing in the company. I will not be investing in the future of the company. So I don't have to, you know, eat this up, right? I don't have shares or stocks in this business. So I don't need to look at this from rose-colored glasses. The truth of the matter is, anytime executives speak like this, they don't have to tell the truth. They don't have to be frank. They don't have to be candid. They don't have to be open and honest and transparent about anything.
I'm Frank.
And I think that 90% of the times, if not more, they're telling you what they want you to think, and they're telling you what they want you to know. They're not going to tell you really what's going on and how they really feel. So I think, you know, when I look at these responses, especially the Mike Sievert piece, I'm going to leave Neville alone, but the Mike Sievert piece, I think he personally is one of those really geeky nerds that couldn't get laid in college. Mike Sievert specifically, He's got the sweaty armpit syndrome. He's very nervous all the time, very uptight. If he backed up against the wall, I think he could suck a cherry out of a brick. But honestly, the little sweater vest, little cardigan, it's enough is
Took a
enough.
golf
He's
ball
just got
through
to
a
stop it.
garden
He's not
hose.
John Leisure. This John thing that he's trying to do is not happening. It's starting to just really get lame and corny. It's done. He should just be him. He should do him and stop trying to be somebody he's not, and let the whole John thing go. So, he's Mr.
Damn, you
Captain
threw
of the
the
Chess
kitchen
Club.
sink at him,
He's
bro.
awkward. He seems like at some point in his life he was very non-social, kind of a weird dude. It's really strange that he tries to use the John blueprint to continue the uncarrier moniker, which is just not working. Anyways, he went on to comment, Verizon will spend tens of billions and cause the balance sheet stress, what he's calling to the balance sheet. He did mention that the company was interested in C-band, but in my opinion, I don't think they're going to do much in C-band, honestly. I think they're probably just going to act and move and bid to drive the price up, maybe buy a few licenses, Los Angeles, Cook County with Chicago, Miami. Was I right or wrong?
Yeah, you're right.
All right. New York City, Philadelphia, Boston, Houston, big time markets that could use it, but that's probably it. Anyways, why don't the thongs ever come back to tell me how right I was? That's what I want to know. Seaver did comment a little bit more and said, we are interested, but we are disciplined. In my estimation, AKA we are broke. They have to spend very carefully. And, he pretended to be enthusiastic but tempered, and that's kind of his way of doing it. He says, we are coming from a position of strength. Their greatest concern is value, which basically means they won't be doing much. They're not going to be spending. If anything, they'll be settling for the end of the auctions after the big markets get auctioned off for the big dollars. This is the same situation. They set out most of the 2010 to 2015 era until the very, very end of all of those auctions. And then they ended up settling with the 600 megahertz for cheap because everybody already had their low band and most of the mid band. Sievert did concede that Verizon Wireless and AT&T won 4G and LTE, saying they have great networks. And he says they're going to be trying to copy us with moving forward, which is completely wrong. That's just simply not the case, which is why, again, he actually did say something true. Verizon and AT&T won 4G and LTE, but then he followed up by saying they're going to copy us, which is not true. Verizon and AT&T are building out new tower sites at an alarming pace. Meanwhile, T-Mobile has to decommission and take down sites that are Sprint sites and then rebuild new ones. So clearly very different directions. Neither of those other companies have gone through a merger. It's not even close. So anyways, let me know what you think of the commentary from Neville Ray. And all right, what do you guys got to say about that?
Bunch of thongs, bro.
I just can't. Like, it's so frustrating. I'm just very frustrated. I'm really hoping that people actually give enough of a backlash that T-Mobile does a backpedal. Like, I'm not saying they won't try to slow boil the frog another time, but I would love it if they would just do a backpedal, because this just doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense. And honestly, everything that's been going on in the United States as far as the main three telcos goes is the polar opposite of every other country when it comes to wireless, right? Like, if you look at places in Europe, right, the cost for cellular plans, the cost for data, the cost has gone down. Plans have gone down, not up. Now, I know America is unique in the way that we have a lot to cover as far as, like, geographically speaking, right? Like, it's a lot more expensive to have to build out and continue to build out to meet these different demands of what have you for continued growth. But there shouldn't be, like, this shouldn't be the way that T-Mobile should be, like, approaching things, right? Like, I'm sure that there could have been a smarter way to target, like, simple choice in one customers, right? Because we know, because Sneed, I think it was you that covered this, right? 50% of T-Mobile customers are on legacy one plans, right? That's the
80%
are on
of
one?
T-Mobile customers are on legacy plans.
Well, I'm trying to eliminate Magenta and Magenta MAX here because those are still recent. I'm talking one,
that's like 10 or 15%.
but like one in Simple Choice are T-Mobile's problems, right? Like those are the main
T-Mobile
ones.
One, T-Mobile One.
Yeah, those are the two main problems for T-Mobile from a revenue standpoint, right?
Yeah.
I feel like
well, on a per customer basis, they're getting crushed by the Simple Choice and the free lines.
Yeah. So I feel like
but the T-Mobile One customers are the largest segment.
So I feel like the simplest way they could have handled this, I legitimately think this actually would have been better. Just start charging $5 per free line. Do that. Don't change the plan. Don't change the features. $5 per free line. Just start charging $5 per free line. That would have been simpler. I guarantee you less people would have been upset because, on the topic of these old legacy One customers, there was the people that had the old OG One Plus add-on, which gave the unlimited hotspot. Those are the people that are going to be pissed, right? Those are the people that are going to leave because there's not an alternative option with current T-Mobile plans and offerings, right? The other aspect of things that they're going to be pissed about are going to be things like, the international roaming perks, right? There was some legacy plans. I'm talking way back in Simple Choice days. If you remember Simple Choice North America, that had unlimited roaming in Mexico and Canada, like true unlimited data. Those are the people that are going to be pissed, right? And there's not an alternative option. T-Mobile's not offering an upsell on these modern days. So why not just give them what they have, charge the $5 per free line, get your extra revenue. Hell, make it 10. You'll have some people that will cancel their free lines, but at least you're not risking the loss of the customer entirely because you know for a fact that there's not going to be a comparatively priced plan on the market. Whereas if you move them to this new Go 5G Next stuff, the competition legitimately is cheaper. Verizon, with all the discounts they have going on, is the cheapest right now, followed by AT&T being second cheapest and Verizon. Like, this is actually truth because of the discounts. T-Mobile's not offering anything. No loyalty discounts, no nothing. It's just
big shout out to Tim Gall. Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Yeah, they'll be coming to a point where there is no opt-out option. Green, thank you for the super chats, man. Is it possible to cover a whole stadium with enough capacity with mid-band alone? No, sir. No, sir.
Depends on the stadium size.
Let me chime in. So theoretically, it is possible to RF engineer it well, especially if you're using.
They have 200 megahertz of mid-band.
Hold on. If you're using like C-band, let's take LA for example. Theoretically, it is possible to actually have it good enough. Not Verizon good, okay, but good enough.
That's millimeter wave zero cool. Mid-band alone can't do it. It's 200 megahertz of spectrum.
I disagree.
Hold on, let me explain, okay? If you aggregate everything that they have, let's take a tower, put C-band on it, okay? Do the same shit with like small cells, DAS systems, every single thing. You can theoretically do it and do the RF right. Now, is it going to be as fast as what a millimeter wave Verizon setup will be? No, it's going to be about half of that. But it will theoretically work. There's enough.
I don't understand, bro. Every week, every Sunday.
That's because they don't densify enough to do
fine.
It right.
Every Sunday
to actually have a 1 gigabyte for every single customer.
Every Sunday, we see the same problems with T-Mobile at NFL stadiums. Every Sunday. I'm not entertaining this.
Yeah, they don't want to spend the money.
I'm not entertaining this.
Sneed, the question was, is it possible? And the answer is it's absolutely possible.
The answer
is
yes, it is possible.
It's not possible. They have 200 megahertz of bandwidth. I don't care what aggregation settings you have.
It's not about the aggregation settings. It's about making sure that you're not trying to serve all those customers off of one singular sector, right? If you split up the customers, because look, right now, right? Forget stadiums for a moment. Right now, today, there are places in Pittsburgh where T-Mobile is serving legitimately 50,000 plus people on a sector, and the site still has capacity, right? It still has capacity. It still works, right? Stadiums, I don't know the exact number, and that's why I said it depends on the size of the stadium. But let's just assume that the stadium has 75,000 seats. Like that's what you're sitting, right?
T-Mobile won't work in it.
If it has 75,000 seats, you can absolutely do things right if you densify and offload traffic from the singular sector. As long as you have one singular sector as your point of failure, you can do it.
Think of like a 10 people per one sector. So basically, when somebody puts in a DAS system, you have 100 nodes off that DAS system. Okay, you have 100 nodes off repeater systems, and the cell phone towers alone that can do 10,000. Then you cover in with small cells, the crop into the bleachers. Okay,
Listen, man. Listen, I'm just gonna go ahead and tow my yacht with my 1984 Yugo. That's what I'm gonna do because it's a car. It has wheels. It can do it. I already know. Anyways, we're playing this.
Quote, we have the best network. End quote. Look, man, there may be some markets where T-Mobile has a very good network. I'm not denying that. There are some markets where they absolutely are in parity with Verizon and AT&T. But there's no way you could say nationally. There's no way you could really say regionally. I'd say from market to market it's possible, but just based on CapEx, just based on the fact that they've been catching up in LTE and they're trying to get ahead in 5G and they've got the Sprint merger. There's just no way that they don't have the best network. They have a competitive network. It's getting there. It's getting better. And they have, in some markets, as good or close to as good as the other two. I mean, in a market where Verizon is congested or in a market where AT&T has neglected it and hasn't gotten to, maybe the best network is T-Mobile in some markets, right? That is very possible. But to say we have the best network, it's hyperbole. It's exaggeration.
$100.
well,
Yep, you're absolutely right. Because, like, for example, in my market, T-Mobile does have the fastest speeds, but as B always says, and you always say, the fastest doesn't necessarily mean the best. I could get 200 by 100 with T-Mobile Home Internet, and I would always get my games to freeze and my frames to drop, and I couldn't live stream. I'm on 50 by 5 Verizon LTE Home, and I've never had a drop. I've never been slowed down, and I've never had any disconnections. So that should say a lot right there about the prowess of the network. You need densification, you need small cells. I've been saying this for years. With all the home internet traffic, small cells is the only way, and millimeter wave is the only way to compensate for that. But they're not going to invest in that, even now that they're nickel and diming their own employees. I made $15,000 for this company last month, and I'm getting screwed. So there you go.
I think, like I talked about before, we're at, multi-gig, kind of era. So I guess the question becomes this, right? How can you make a network work for you? Now, this could be either wireline or wireless, right? That's the question of the day. How can you make what can network do for you? It's kind of like what can Brown do for you for UPS, right? What can network do for you? So if and we come to this pricing stigma, right? That's happening with T-Mobile. You really have to ask yourself that as a customer. How can the network work for you, right? I think the tactics that's happening here are just absolutely insane. Again, it's just going to get much worse than T-Mobile. I would just love to like spend like a podcast and think about every single which way T-Mobile can just screw over a customer.
Hey guys, watch this video. You're gonna like this one. This one is from 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago.
Look at that intro, a young Mr. Sneed.
Oh, geez.
Are you about to talk about Sprint and WiMAX?
Hey, what is going on, guys? It is the SMT. Thanks for tuning in to watch this edition of the channel. This one's going to be quick and brief. It's just kind of a news bulletin or a quick little update. John Ledger making the news. This one kind of seemingly out of nowhere. I didn't really know this was going to happen, but it looks like he's going to be stepping away from the company almost completely prematurely. Before I get into the details of this announcement, please do check some of the links in the Mobile Tech live stream on .net, invite code the social tracking megadon.net. So the nitty gritty of the announcement is that former T-Mobile CEO John Ledger, who has since stepped away from the company, completed his run as the CEO of the company, handing off the reins to Mike Sievert starting April 1st, he was actually supposed to be receiving an advisory position on the board. And it looks like even that position that he was going to hold is going to be, he'll be walking away from it essentially. He did file an official resignation, provided a letter to the company. And the only thing here is it's just a little bit earlier than planned. Um, I would say it's about a month early. I think he was supposed to run through, I think, June as part of the advisory committee on the board. The reason he provided, he said he's going to be pursuing other options. Therefore, he, just has to bail. He was supposed to wrap up, the first week of June. Looks like he's cutting it short to pursue other options. He did mention that there was no disagreement or issue with management, and that is kind of on his terms. So here's
Lies.
what's
Lies.
interesting about this. The timing is strange. I mean, it's only been a few weeks since he's been gone as CEO and Mike Seaver has taken over. It doesn't seem like there's any ill will between John and the company. It wouldn't make any sense for there to be that. Things have seemed pretty cordial and they've seemed pretty supportive of one another. And I mean, for 7.5 years, he was the most important person to the company. So I don't think there's any issues there. But what I think might be happening is I think John is on the move. I think John is, when he says something like, I'm going to pursue other options, it might be a situation where it could be a conflict of interest. Him being on the board for T-Mobile and him taking a position or doing something else somewhere else so soon could be a problem. So by abandoning his board position, it allows him to be free, kind of like a free agent, where he can make a more serious move in a more timely fashion. Just my thoughts, my 2 cents. I'd love to hear what you guys have to. So here's what turned out to be the truth. He left before his coffee even cooled down.
Yup, he left his
Well,
coffee
Because
on
he
the
knew
table.
he knew what they were going to do. He saw the shit on the board. He's like, I got to get the hell out of here. They're about to ruin my reputation.
Yep.
That's what happened.
He left all the sweater vests for Mike Sievert.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It just sucks because the T-Mobile network actually is pretty good now. Like, it finally happened, and now they're
It's
ruining
comparable.
everything.
It's very comparable, and it's like you said, it's a shame because now they're doing all this recarrier garbage, and it's gonna screw everything up. And I'm sorry and I apologize if I keep interrupting you guys. I'm just very, very frustrated because I tout how much I love working for this company and how much I love helping customers, but I'm gonna eventually also get tired of reading the verbiage. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
I
it's
my
all
sales my
lies.
sales
SMT
skills is
Nation, we
gonna have
back,
to
Nate.
be taken somewhere else.
It's all lies, all BS, bro. When I worked at the company, all lies, BS. As soon as they say you have a seat on the table as a Sprint employee, complete BS. That's when I knew we're screwed. Yeah.
All right, here we go. One more. We've got an update out of T-Mobile. Big shout out to the homie B for sharing this with me. Kind of told me, or let me know that this was going on, developing, and then I did a little bit of snooping around and found what I was looking for as it pertains to this T-Mobile news. So this article was posted just a few weeks ago, and there's an updated article on this too. But I wanted to call back to the old article for a reason. Anyways, T-Mobile has been focusing on uh, corporate operations. Post T-Mobile and Sprint merger, they've been focusing on getting their free cash flow up, doing share buybacks, talking about that program, and now they're going to be paying this dividend, and they finally declared, the amount of it. So that's what we're going to talk about here. No financial advice within this video. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't give stock advice. Just want to kind of talk about these facts here in today's video. Article will be linked in the description. I do think Barron's has paywalls for a lot of their more recent articles, but anyways, it'll be in the description. And if you guys want to support the channel, Mobile has been focusing on their corporate promises, things that they were promising, during the time of the Sprint and T-Mobile merger. Now those things are starting to happen. Share buyback program, dividend payments to investors, all those things, to the tune of about 19 or 20 billion dollars is the plan. Now this doesn't really impact customers directly, but one could say potentially that it could take away some, funding that might be going back into the network. I know a lot of people have been requesting, calling for increased fiber optic circuits to T-Mobile tower sites, improving redundancy, densifying the network. Those things are going to happen. I'm not sure about the scale and the rapid nature of that. But T-Mobile is a rapidly growing company, very fast in terms of growth. They have a lot of usage between home internet and mobile users, so that area could definitely use the investment. But they're going to be focusing on corporate strategies and pleasing investors as they promised. Right? They told investors we would do this, and they are following through. So the dividend payment is coming in at 65 cents for a share, and that's obviously well behind their competitors with respect to investor dividend payouts. I think AT&T is a much healthier number. If I remember correctly, it's a much higher percentage, and that's basically why. Um, now that the stock is down to like $15 though with AT&T, that might kind of bring it down below this. I'm not sure. I'd have to look. I know Verizon trades at a much higher number for a share compared to AT&T, and then their dividend payouts like 8%, 7 or 8%. So it's quite high. And according to this, coming in at 65 cents a share and a value at 140, you're talking about what, 4.5% or 0.46% or something like that. So it's very low. It's not. It doesn't seem like much, but for someone who has been accruing and adding to their position, this is going to be a nice little welcome payout. Now, the thing is when companies start paying dividends to a sizable amount, it indicates that they can't grow. I don't think this is an amount that would scare away investors and say, okay, this company's not growing anymore. I'm pretty sure that T-Mobile's all-time highs were in like the $150, $152 range, which means you're probably about, 7%, 8% away from that number. So there might still be some room to grow if indeed they get back to that point. I know a lot of the ratings for this stock, they typically rate them around 170, $190 range, right? As their I forget what they call that. Wherever they think the stock is going. So they'll do those things, and maybe there is more room. I don't know. But I do know that the industry as a whole doesn't get a lot of love these days. It's just doesn't seem like that's where the growth is. So the investor, if you're investing in telco, you're looking for consistency, you're looking for stability, and quite often the telco investor is looking for a dividend. And now T-Mobile puts themselves in that position. So I think that puts them in a spot potentially to garner some attention from the typical AT&T and even Verizon investor, or even wireline telco. Some of them pay dividends too. I forget which one, if it's Comcast or Charter, but they've now put themselves in that same kind of area with the other telcos to pay the dividend. And of course, this is going to be coming from free cash flow. So T-Mobile's been focusing on free cash flows. They've just started to generate it. They're more profitable, and now they're doing some corporate stuff with that money. There you go, people. That is where your raised cost for your plans is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy.
Hey, does anybody think that like Sievert is like Randall Stevenson now, like Randall Jr.?
He's worse.
Oh, okay. We got some consensus here. Randall Jr.
Hmm. Oh, here's a good one. You guys will like this one. Word on the street is that T-Mobile wants to buy U.S. Cellular.
Bro, this right here is bro. Yo.
I don't want that.
Neither do I.
Oh man. Oh bro. I don't know, bro. I don't even know what to say to y'all, man.
I just watched T-Mobile get their way every which way for the last 10 years straight. And all I got out of it was $100 smartphone plan and shitty home internet.
Nigga, stop! Somebody help me, please. What? Man, I ain't no damn way.
They consumed Sprint, chewed them up, and spit them out. They fired 15,000 people. They gave shareholders $20 billion in share buybacks and $4 billion in annual dividends. How the hell does that help me? I mean, good for the folks who, get a home internet option to replace their crappy DSL or satellite. And I could honestly say that's a pro out of this whole merger thing. But I've never seen a version of T-Mobile like this before, where they literally are trying to chew up and spit out Sprint, chew up and spit out Dish. They want to take everybody's spectrum. They want to cry about it when they don't get their way with Spectrum Auction 108. Like, they literally got everything to go their way for a decade, and it's not enough. They want more. They want U.S. Cellular for pennies on the dollar. I mean, you heard what Eugene said.
For a single line.
Bro, they got a $100 plan, dog.
Yeah.
In what world would the old T-Mobile be charging $100 for a cell phone plan?
Somebody get this dude out of here, man! Get him out of here! What is he talking about?
I got T-Mobile making
Who
ads
is that
talking
guy?
about,
I will
bring
fight
us
him
your
for you, Sneed.
AT&T locked phone so we can give you a T-Mobile locked phone. And people
Look.
are like, yeah, that's cool. Let's do that.
No.
He's a Twitch streamer. I think
I can't, bro.
I've seen him before. He's a Twitch streamer.
I can't.
He is twitching hardcore.
I need to go take a spelling test or something. I got to get some of them brain cells back, bro.
Good for the people who have old T-Mobile plans, right? Right, Max Tech Studios? Good for the people who got... Listen carefully, people. Got T-Mobile One. Good for the people who got Simple Choice.
Yeah.
But anybody buying a T-Mobile plan right now is paying double, if not triple, on a per-line basis.
That's true. But Sneed, I think you're being a little harsh, because if you're with T-Mobile, did you know you can actually go in the store and get a free hat?
It's cool, bro, but like, we don't get innovation anymore.
Oh, yeah,
We literally went from an innovative carrier to just another one of those guys. And shout out to Judge Victor Marrero in a Manhattan court, federal court, who presided over the T-Mobile and Sprint merger, who said to Mike Sievert, "Spare me the BS. Welcome to the club." He started talking. It went for like 10, 15 seconds. He said, enough. That's enough. Enough. Spare me all the BS. Welcome to the club.
Out of pocket for this one, bro. Trash or trash? Y'all let me know. Trash or trash?
It's all facts. There's no cap. No cap detected. Bro, this is the content you get from the SMT. This is what it is, bro.
I just don't know what they're going to do next. I think it's going to be with home internet. They already screwed over the wireless plans. I think they're going to just. I can't wait to see what's going to affect customers worse. What are they going to take away? It's just. What's something they probably could do. And maybe I just got a question for the group here. The phone financing, they're still be racing off their credit, right? So I have a feeling that that could maybe increase as well. I just have a feeling more taxes, more fees, more price gouging, more oops, I'm sorry, you have to switch to our new plan. Oh, I'm sorry, you have to upgrade your phone, it won't work. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yepers. So you guys think we covered everything? Yes? No? Maybe?
Sorry, I didn't realize the rewatching was done. I was doing stuff for work. Yeah, I mean, sorry, man. I zoned out after memory lane. Went for a little longer than I was expecting. Yeah, I mean, I think we covered everything, at least everything that I'm aware of. So yeah, what T-Mobile's doing is really crappy. I'm hoping that it doesn't come to fruition. I'm hoping they come up with a better alternative solution to solve their revenue generating problems that isn't this method. And when that day does come where they try to pull me off Magenta MAX, assuming that there's not some better option that they come up with as a solution, I will be canceling all my lines except for my main number that I communicate off of, which Sneed, and I'll probably move that over to Verizon, and I'll just have the best of both worlds from coverage. Verizon and AT&T.
All right. We got our
They
last
won't
one.
try. They will. They won't try. They will. They did it to me.
We got our last one. Trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
So OG.
What is going on, good people of the SMT Nation? It is a pleasure to have you back for this edition of the channel. We've got a good video for you today, covering a lot of details from T-Mobile and Mike Sievert, and the lies, the blatant lies from the new T-Mobile CEO. We got him. We caught him. He's getting exposed today. That's what we're doing with this video. Anyways, before I get going with today's video, please do check out some of the links world. We also have the no algorithm homie Mike Sievert. He is the new CEO of the new T-Mobile, and he is the successor of John Legere, who is long gone. More on that in a second. Anyways, this tweet came out yesterday. There are false reports that we are walking back promises of additional jobs in California. Here's the truth. We committed to the CPUC that in 3 years, T-Mobile would have at least as many jobs in California as we did when the merger closed. We are not walking back from that commitment. Now, that contradicts.
Lies. I'm one of those California people. I got affected. Screw you, Sievert.
California.
Just
Knows how
network
to
out there and
party.
get shafted, man.
Lies, lies, lies. Straight up lying, bro.
It's not the layer cake. It's the liar cake.
Oh, damn, the liar cake. All right, let's do this one for Pratik. He said, can we please have guesses for Q3 T-Mobile numbers? Since Q3 is done, yeah, I guess we could do it. I got 690,000 net adds for wireless postpaid. I got 510,000 home internet customer ads. I got churn rate at industry best at 0.75, 0.76, and record-setting revenues, record-setting margins, record-setting blah, 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 blah. That's what I got for T-Mobile.
Record-setting postpaid growth by switching their mobile plan, right?
All right, you guys want to make your predictions?
Yeah, like record profit. I think they're gonna have all that. They're gonna glorify their new 5G next plan that how everybody's on it. And
and another thing, you just reminded me of something. They're gonna talk about how incredible the take rate is, but they won't give us the number on those new plans.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. There's that face again. Yeah, I think it's gonna be at least 500,000 subs increase on both sides, wireless and home internet, for both. And again, they're going to push the plan, how much beneficial it is, and good Lord, it's just. I'll listen to it just for comedy hour, but yeah, that's my predictions.
They're gonna have a record-breaking quarter because I can say just from my store alone, we made like close to 60K in revenue between all the reps last month. So if you take that and you multiply it by all the stores that they have nationwide, they should easily lead the quarter. And like Zero said, by forcing this plan change on people like they are with their employees already, and sorry to keep harping on that, but just on me alone, they're making an extra $70 in ARPU every month until I can move the rest of my lines over. So if you take that by all the demographics that Boosh was talking about earlier, they're going to have a record-breaking quarter, but this will be the last one, and you can put me on record. Next quarter and every quarter after that, either Verizon or AT&T will be the number one at ARPU and gross net ads and all of that good stuff, especially with AT&T Internet Air expanding.
Anybody else want to do their prediction? Dennis?
What was the prediction? Sorry, I got distracted again.
T-Mobile Q3.
Oh, T-Mobile Q3. I think that I think it'll be a growth quarter for them. I mean, Q3 for all telco typically is, right? But with all the turbulence going on with these forced migrations, I think
That wouldn't be until Q4.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we'll see that in like Q4 when that actually starts. So Q4 and Q1 of next year is when we'll start seeing that impact. But for Q3, I think it'll be another positive growth quarter. I'm sure they'll probably hit another home run, talking about how they got another 800,000 net adds, something ridiculous. T-Mobile's a little spiel. I'm sure they'll come up with something creative, and it'll probably be positive.
But they love their customers, Dennis.
They love their money, not their customers.
You remember what they said? What they told those poor employees they just laid off, the 5,000? They said, hey, look, our customers demand, that we need to do this in order to continue to give them what they want. In order to get them off their plans, we got to fire you.
Yeah. You know what I want, T-Mobile? I want you to leave my plan alone. I'll take the slightly inadequate network for the reasonably priced value plan. If you're going to charge me a premium, I want you to double your CapEx and very rapidly make an actual focus on being the best network. And by best network, I mean not just fastest speeds, but actually having domestic non-roaming coverage for a good portion of your footprint, because you still have parts of Pennsylvania where you roam on AT&T with 2G speeds, and that's ridiculous.
More CapEx.
Big shout out to Kevin, Baby Yoda, Al, Green, and Big Sep. Thank you guys for the super chats tonight. You guys are very generous. We appreciate it very much. Big shout out to all the people on the panel today. We had EM, we had B, Zero Cool, Dennis, Frank. Did I forget anyone? If I did, my apologies. But big shout out to the members and the Patreon supporters, and of course everybody supporting the channel. And then Moose. Forgot about Moose. Let's go ahead and close the stream for the night, and then we'll see you guys tomorrow night for the Friday show. We will see you then. Peace.
Buenas noches.